I just have a quick bio I'd like to give to you. So I'm Lisa Borkowski. I'm the project director at Paperless. I oversee the implementation of our CourtPro and e-filing and case management system. I'm also Paperless's subject matter expert. So like Jess said, I used to work in the Montgomery County Prothonotary office where I was a deputy Prothonotary and also the e-filing coordinator. So I've been on both sides of this. I know what it's like sitting in the courthouse dealing with the filings. And now I get to help build the system and make that process of handling those filings that much easier. Today, I'm going to walk you through our e-filing system from the perspective of an attorney, how you'll actually file your documents in CourtPro, how to pull them up on the viewer, track them on the viewer, and what they look like on the docket. I like these sessions to be more of a conversation rather than a presentation. I hate the professional approach where I just sit and speak and you all listen. I would like for this to be engaged. So if anybody has any questions, Jess, I don't know, do we want to put it in a chat? Do we want them to unmute and just interrupt? How do you think it
Um,
would be best
I
suited?
think with the number of participants that we have, if you just want to put any questions that you have in the chat, I will be monitoring the chat throughout the training and will interject with those questions as they come in. Um, and if we need clarification from whoever asked the question, you can unmute yourself and clarify at that point in time.
Okay, great. So my goal here today is to answer as many questions as possible. I know a new system can be rather challenging trying to learn all the new things. So if you have any technical questions, I'm here to help. Any process questions, the court's here to help for you. So do not hesitate to ask. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to move the 200 plus people off to my one screen. And I will go ahead and share. Is everybody able to see my screen? Do we have any issues? We're good? Okay. So we have two different systems we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the e-filing system. This is the system that you're going to be submitting your electronic filings. And then we have our viewer, the civil viewer. And this is where you're going to be looking at your docket, pulling up images of documents that already are of record. Just move this bar out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to start with how to register for an account. We're going to talk about the e-filing account in general. We'll talk about email notifications, how to update your profile. We're also going to talk about how to create a filing, both an initial and a subsequent filing. We're going to talk about history, how to search and look up statuses of documents that you've submitted to the court. We're going to talk about messages and emails and how those communications get sent back to you as an attorney after you've submitted those documents. And then we're going to jump to the viewer. I created a test case so we can look at what a docket's going to look like, docket entries, how to access images. We're also going to touch on the 236 process and what that's going to look like as well. So I'm going to start with registering. So once Monroe goes live, they are going to put these links out on their website. So you'll be able to grab the link from the website, and this will be your login screen. So everyone's going to want to register as a new user. If you've already registered for the Orphans Court system, you are going to have to register for the civil, but our goal once we go live is we're going to merge those two together. So it will be a single sign-on, but at go live, they are going to unfortunately be separate. So you will have to register as a new user.
Sorry, Lisa, we already have a question.
Yeah.
Can one law office use the same login?
One office. So we always suggest that the attorney register with his or her attorney ID number. So that unique ID, your attorney ID number, we use throughout the system. We use it for notification purposes. We use it for to be able to identify who you are as listed as counsel.
Yeah,
And then
and her eyes will look
we also use that for to be able to understand what your links are with the case. So we do recommend that the attorney
I can't get my audio to
with
work.
their AOPC number register and that be the unique identifier within the profile. So the first question is, are you an attorney licensed in Pennsylvania? This is also site is also for pro se litigants, so that's why there is an option for no. But you are going to want to click yes. and you can enter your AOPC number and hit next. You'll then want to enter your email address that you're going to want to register with, and you'll send your email verification. We have to verify your email because we need to make certain that you are receiving emails into this inbox and being able to respond to them so that we can guarantee you are receiving notices from the court.
And Lisa, I did just want to confirm that it is part of our new local rule that was published. I don't have a publication date, but is fairly recently. It hasn't gone into effect yet. Our local rule does require attorneys registering as users have to do so using their AOPC number. And then there is a follow-up question: can staff have a separate login? And there's not the very confusing proxy rights that are currently in the C-track system at this point in time. So with that caveat, I'll let Lisa finish answering the question.
Sorry, I think my screen just froze. I missed that last part, Jess. You said your local rule was updated and that.
I'm sorry, our local rule has been updated. Attorneys have to register using their AOPC number. In terms of their staff having the ability to file on their behalf, there's no proxy rights available at this point in time with the e-file, so they would need to be using an attorney account to do so.
Correct, yes. So after the verification email was sent, you will then verify with your email address, and then it'll bring you to the screen to enter your username and create a password. So I'm just going to create a test account and give it a password and hit finish. Once you are able to register, you will hit continue, and then you'll be able to log in. So I'm going to log in with my already previously registered account, hit next.
Lisa, for those people who have already registered on the OC side, can they use the same login username, or do they have to make it unique?
No, it is going to be the same username and password for both. We just have we're going to force them to, they are going to have to, they are going to have to register again separately, but once they register, it will merge together. Okay, so once I log in, this is called the e-filing homepage. So what this is, it is links to create filing, which is where you'll submit your initial and subsequents, your history tab, which is the status of previous filings, your messages, which is a complete duplicate of the emails that you're receiving in your inbox. We also have a messages portal, and then your profile. So I'm going to go to the profile first, since we just created it, and go to account settings. This is all of the information after you register, you're forced to enter. So it would just be your address, your telephone number, and then your validated email address. So once you're in here, you have the ability to add an email address, which would be a secondary. So it could be legal secretaries or someone else in the office that would also like to receive email notifications. You can add them here. We also have this consent. So upon registering, there is consent language that is required for the e-filers to consent to. So it is hereby consenting to receive all notifications from the court pursuant to these rules. Jess can speak on that. I believe your local rule indicates a little bit more to that.
Yep. Attorneys in Monroe County and those filing in Monroe County will be familiar with our local rules to the extent that we're a mandatory civil e-file county. This is the same, very similar notification language that you would have signed off on when you created a C-track e-filing account. Basically, it just says that if you sign up as an e-filer, you are consenting to e-service of orders, motions filed by other parties if they choose to e-serve them, things of that nature. The only thing that it won't affect is original service of process. And because just touching on the email portion of that, the fact that you can add an email address and then some of the email options below, because we are a mandatory civil e-file, meaning that if you sign up as an e-filer, you will need to consent to receive e-service, you have to have at least one email address associated with your account receiving service emails. So you can add as many emails as you want, but if you want all service emails to go to, a paralegal as opposed to an attorney's inbox, you understand that that constitutes service, even if it's not coming directly to the attorney. So just kind of a caveat with the adding and or removing emails or selecting email options.
So with that, there are other email options that you can edit. So you can turn off emails to your primary email address. So if the attorney doesn't want to receive notifications flooding their inbox, you turn them off from the primary, but if you do that, you have to have a secondary. So then that secondary email address would be the one constituting the service. We do also remind you that there are messages tabs. So if you can turn them off so you don't see them in your inbox. You'll always be able to access your messages from the messages tab. You can also check off whether or not you want to receive email notifications when a filing has been submitted. We always suggest all of these to be turned on just because you want to be notified of your filing at any given time. But submitted is when the Prothonotary office receives it in their awaiting acceptance queue. It does not mean it's been docketed. It just means that they received it. It's almost a receive date. Once they review it and either accept it or reject it, then you'll get that other email indicating whether or not it's been accepted or whether or not it's been rejected. If it's been accepted, there's a hyperlink. You can go to, it'll take you to the viewer so you can view your time-stamped copy. If it is rejected, it's going to indicate why it was rejected and have a reason. So you do want to be mindful of these emails because they will give you pertinent information that you should be acting on your filings. The last one is email me when subsequent filings are entered. This means that if opposing counsel submits something on the docket, you'll also receive email notification of it. And that, like Jess said, is going to be constitute service from the other side.
Lisa, is there a limit on the number of emails you can add?
I don't believe so, no. So does anybody have any questions about your account profile? Oh, you know what? I do want to also add that it is the filer's responsibility, the e-filer's responsibility to keep this information up to date pursuant to the PA Disciplinary Board website. So these two should match. Your email, if it does get changed, you please make sure that you do update it because again, these are court notifications and notices. If you do not, for whatever reason, have access or you end up getting locked out, you can always call the courthouse. We can go in the back end, update that email address, and then resend you a verification link. So does anybody have any questions about the account profile?
I just had one question come in about the email notifications. I was going to respond, but I'll just say it out loud to everyone. Question was all emails on file will get notifications, not just the primary. That is correct unless you deselect that one email option that says send notifications to my primary email address. If you deselect that, then it won't go to the primary email. It'll go to all of the secondary emails. But if you keep all of these 4 things checked, it will go to all of the emails listed on the account.
Correct. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our e-filing homepage and we're going to talk about creating the filing. So once you go in and create the filing, you have the ability to enter an initial or a subsequent. If you do a subsequent, we do have the case format listed here. I do believe, Jess, it changed since with your previous system, but we did give the format here at the top in the event you need help with that. So initials, you want to select the initial radio button and click here. If you click it, it will give you all of the available options for initial filings. So they are in alphabetical order and you can scroll down. You can also type ahead. So if you know that it's a complaint for custody or just an initial complaint, COM, and it brings up all of the filing types with COM. So I'm going to go ahead and file a complaint. I'm going to show you initial and then we're going to go back and do a subsequent. So the first tab is your general tab. This is special instructions. So we kind of like to reference this with almost like an IM back in the day when you would instant message people, these little chat boxes that would pop up. That's what we like to use this for. If for whatever reason, maybe you picked up the phone and talked to Michelle and she had indicated, hey, file it this way and I'll make sure it gets submitted or accepted. You can put those special instructions there, but it will not be attached to the docket. So it's just a kind of a message you can send to the Prothonotary office without it becoming a record. So you're going to go, oh, I'm sorry. And if you do need an interpreter, there is a box for an interpreter, and that will flag the court that an interpreter is needed for your case.
I would
So the
note
first,
sorry, Lisa, on that point,
yeah.
that does not negate the necessity to file a request for an interpreter form. Those are still required to be filed whenever you have a hearing and are in need of an interpreter.
So the plaintiff's tab, there's a hyperlink where you would click add, and this is where you'll enter in your party's information. So if it's a corporation or a person, you click the radio button and you enter the information. If these are required, so unfortunately I have to enter all this information in. You then are going to want to assign counsel. So you'll click the assign counsel button and you'll click add, and this will bring you to a form field where you can either search by the attorney ID number, or if you don't have it, you can search by last name. So if I do a search, I can find my name and I'll hit save. You want to make sure your counsel box has your counsel listed. If it does not, it does not mean, it means that you did not save your counsel entry. And then you want to hit save on the plaintiff. It'll become a line item here where you can edit or you can delete it. You do also have the ability of adding multiple parties. So you would just click the add again and enter in more information. If you're done, click next and you'll get to the defendants tab. And this is where you're going to enter the defendant's information. And hit save. There is a tab called Other Parties. If this is a petition where you have, maybe it's a petition to intervene and you have an intervener party, this is where you'll add that. The party types are listed here. So it's any of these parties that are outside of a plaintiff or a defendant. We give you the ability to enter them in. Next is case classification, and this is for AOPC purposes. So when you submit an initial complaint, you then have to identify what type of complaint it is pursuant to the AOPC. These statistics are pulled and then reported upon, and I think Jess can speak a little more if she has any more to that.
I would just add that this section replaces the civil cover sheet, like it does currently in C-Track. In C-Track, you don't necessarily have to attach a civil cover sheet because filling out this information is sufficient under the state rules because we are an e-file county to substitute for that form.
So by entering these details on this case classification tab, you do not have to upload the actual document. We generate that for you in the system. The last tab is the attachments tab. There is a little help button here because this can be a little overwhelming at first. So we do suggest that you take some time to click on this hyperlink and it opens up a tab. It gives you all of the explanations behind the different buttons, how to move things, how to change securities, pursuant to the public access policy, the certain type of restrictions that you should be giving these documents, so on and so forth. So we do suggest spending some time to review that attachment help. So I'm going to start at the top. We have types here. We have a main, we have exhibit, and we have a brief. So the reason we have different types is for ease of use once it becomes displayed on the viewer. So for anyone that wants to view this document, when you break it down as a main document with exhibit separate and a brief or a memorandum of law separate, when we go to the viewer, I'm going to show you how we have bookmarks. So when someone is reading the main document and wants to reference or refer to Exhibit A, they can easily jump to Exhibit A and then go back to the main document. So it is nice to be able to have these filings broken down. Your main document is always going to consist of any cover sheet, any proposed order or notice to defend, your main document, your petition, your motion, and then your verification. Anything else would be considered either an exhibit or a brief or memorandum. So as I stated before, the civil cover sheet, this is already generated for you. And if you click on it, it's going to give you a preview of what it is with some watermarks indicating that it is a draft. So based on those selections I made, they auto-populated this form. I'm now going to go ahead and upload documents. So this box at the top, you can either click to open your file explorer, or you can open your file explorer, and if you have multiple documents, you can drag and drop. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a generic complaint.
While you're looking for that, Lisa, I did have a couple of questions come in.
Sure.
In reference to estates, would we use the main tab was the question. I'm thinking, Julia, we might need a bit more information to answer that question. So if you could type that into the chat, that'd be helpful. The second question that came in was, can you file more than one document at a time? The current system does not allow for that. Yes, you can file more than one document at a time.
I'm going to show you how to do that too. Okay, so I uploaded my cover sheet was a draft, and I uploaded my civil action complaint. And now I'm going to identify the security type. So pursuant to the public access policy, if it does not qualify for public access, it's public. If it does, it's either the public document that is redacted with its corresponding confidential information form, or it's a confidential document. I'm going to indicate this one as public, and I'm going to go ahead and upload some exhibits. So I'm going to change it to exhibit, click in the box, and upload my exhibits. You'll see this gray bar here that breaks up the main and exhibits. Jess, did you have something?
Sorry, I just had clarification on that estates question. Petition for grant of letters, estate information sheet, etc. Would that be considered main for the type? And I think to answer your question, it would be whatever is the main filing that you have, the petition would be your main document. And then if you have exhibits that you refer to in your petition, you can attach those as exhibits. If you have an associated brief with your petition, then that can be attached as a brief.
So your exhibits you can identify as either numbers or letters, depending on how you have them worded. And then each exhibit then has to be identified with a security. So let's say this document is a confidential document. Maybe it's my credit card, copy of my credit card statement. So I'm going to indicate this is a confidential document. You see right here, it's locked. I need to identify the type, credit card statement, and where it's referenced. I'm just going to say paragraph 6. Then you're going to go to this exhibit, and you're going to indicate the security type. So I'm going to say it is a public with the confidential information form. So in order to use this type, you have to upload both your public document and your confidential information form. They both have to appear here, because what we do is we when you click it, we bring this one up. So I'm going to relate it to exhibit A. So this one now is locked with exhibit A. You'll see here. So we can't have one without the other. And then this one I'm going to indicate as a confidential.
So just to clarify on that, Lisa, when you're uploading exhibits, one of your exhibits that you're uploading should be that confidential information form, because when you once you've uploaded all of your exhibits, whichever one of those documents needs to have the confidential information form associated with it, that's the exhibit that you would associate with that document.
So it depends. Can you give me an example of where you would have a where you would have a confidential information form besides, I know one would be maybe a custody complaint?
I'm trying to think. Off the top of my head, I can't remember which ones are the
So I think they are the confidential information form. We have the different types that are here, but it's and whether it's an exhibit or a main, if it is a public document that has the confidential information form attached, they would have to be both would have to be an exhibit or both would have to be the main. So if I upload my public document, it's the redacted document, and then the confidential information form is that form with all of the associated confidential information.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was saying. Sorry. It was how it made sense in my head. So basically
Okay.
that exhibit A is your confidential information form that is associated with the redacted exhibit C.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I probably should have done it as a main. That probably would have made more sense than an exhibit, but I wanted to fit it all into one here. So, okay, so we have a public with confidential information form, and we have a confidential document. Last but not least, at the bottom, we indicate we ask you to check off yes to whether or not your documents comply with the public access policy. And this satisfies the certification request of the public access policy. So you no longer would have to upload that certification document to all of your documents. Just by checking this, it will automatically endorse the document with the certification language. So we would just require you to hit yes and then hit finish. So this is your shopping cart, your checkout screen. At the bottom, you'll see recently submitted documents. So it's a history of all of the filings that you submitted. And in your shopping cart, you'll see this first line item. This is the complaint that we just submitted. You can remove it. You can save it for later. You can edit it. You can proceed to checkout, which means you're done with this transaction and you want to submit this by itself to the awaiting acceptance queue. You can create another filing, and I think that was one of the questions. What this does is it keeps this filing in your shopping cart and we'll pause it. It will stay in your shopping cart indefinitely until you either remove it or process it and complete the transaction. And then you can return to e-filing. This is, you have nothing else to do, but maybe you're waiting for the client's signature on the verification before you submit this complaint. Or maybe you're waiting on something, an approval by someone in the office before you submit this. You can click Return to e-filing home, and in the top right-hand corner, it's going to, next to your shopping cart icon, it's going to say one filing. So we do get a lot of questions where users will say, I submitted this an hour ago. I still haven't received has your document been submitted email yet? And our answer is always going to say in the top right-hand corner, does it say one filing or multiple filings? And they say yes. If you click it, it brings you back to your shopping cart and they just haven't completed checkout. So we're going to go ahead and create another filing. And that again, we'll pause it and keep it in your shopping cart. Go ahead.
I do have some questions that came in through the chat.
Sure.
Some of them I'll be able to answer. So one of the questions is for Orphans Court. Some filings require original wet signatures following a probate hearing. Does this filing system negate the need for original signatures? And then a similar question came in as well. So in Orphans Court, no, if there is something that has to be filed with that, it has to be filed in paper essentially, you can still do that. The Orphans Court system, while there is e-filing available, the state rules don't allow us to make it an exclusive e-filing office. So if you do need to still file something in paper, the Clerk of Orphans Court will still accept paper. Then the next question was, under the current system, they can upload the primary document, all exhibits as a single PDF. Are we no longer allowed to do that? No, you can continue to upload them as a single document. What Lisa's showing you is just that there is the availability of a breakdown. And on the court side, it makes that document, that filing a little bit easier to view because we'll have kind of like a menu on the side when we pull that document or that filing up to take a look at it. It'll have your main petition, and then we can jump to exhibits and then back to the petition as needed. So it's not required. We don't require that in our local rule or anything like that, but it just does make the document much easier for us to navigate on our side. Will the family law cases still be confidential or only if confidential information form is attached? So right now, access to Prothonotary cases is going to stay status quo from what it is in C-Track. That may change at a later time. I'm not sure at this point. we are focusing on going live and keeping things as they are. You will know well in advance if there are going to be any changes to that. I would say though that in family law cases, if what you're filing is required to have a confidential form attached, or if it is a confidential document, you do still need to be filing those things according to state rules. Just because we don't necessarily put that out on the public access website out of an abundance of caution, that doesn't negate the need for those forms and those rules to still be followed. When we file a divorce or custody, is the confidential sheet part of the main document or is it filed separately? Lisa, I was going to ask if you can show how how a confidential information form would work in a main document submission
Sure.
instead of exhibits.
Sure.
Sorry, we've got a couple more questions. So we upload the verification separately for pleadings. Again, that goes back to one document versus document exhibits brief separation. You can continue to file it together, or you can navigate the separate document types to make it easier for viewing on our end. I filed a document for an attorney in our office in Orphans court, and when a subsequent filing came in, he was notified he was unable to view the filing. Has this been corrected? We are in the process of working on that. That's a known issue, and we are working on it. If in the meantime you need anything from the docket, you can contact the clerk of court's office, and they will be able to email that to you. And that's all the questions.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do a subsequent with confidential with public information. Confidential with public with confidential information form. Woo. Okay, so we're going to do a petition. Let's see. I'll file it on here. Let's see, we'll do just a generic motion petition and hit next. General instructions tab, hit next, and attachments. So this is going to be your main document. So you have your petition with your confidential information redacted and your confidential information form. So we're going to go ahead and upload both of those at the same time. So I have my confidential information form and I have my petition, which I'm just going to do this test main document. And I'm going to open them both together. So this is my main document. So this is my public with confidential information form. And select my related attachment, which is the only other attachment here, which is the confidential information form. And then it becomes locked. So you have your petition or your complaint for custody or whatever main document you have that has that redacted information. And then you have your confidential information form. And you'll see here, there is a world here, meaning public, anybody could see it, or you have your lock button here. Hit your check and hit finish. So after I've submitted all of my filings, I'm going to go to proceed to checkout. This is going to bring you to the third-party payment processing site. This is Govolution's site that the county uses. You can either save or store your payment method here. I'm going to just show you if you were to enter it as a new payment. And Google Chrome saved all of my contact information, also saved my card. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Fill out all of the required fields. Do the CAPTCHA and hit continue. So what this does, and then hit confirm. So what this does is the third-party payment processor is authorizing your credit card for the amount and also for the service fee. You are going to see the payment amount indicated with one line item and the service fee indicated as a separate line item for your purchase. Once it approves and authorizes the card, it that sends our website back information saying that it was approved and that it was an accepted payment. So this payment is an authorized payment. It is not going to charge your card until the filing has been accepted. So once that filing is accepted, it will then process that payment on your card. If it is rejected, that authorization will fall off. So many different banks handle those authorizations a little bit differently. So if you see this authorization for a couple days, don't panic. I would contact your bank and just ask what their authorization protocols are. We did find that sometimes in the way beginning of time, we had some people that would submit multiple payments and it would get rejected. And then in the same day, they would re-enter all of those multiple payments again. I think they submitted probably 5 complaints at once, and it was more than their credit card was allowed to authorize. So it wasn't an error in the system. It was just an error in the fact that we couldn't authorize that much money. So you do want to be mindful of your authorization and your bank's requirements. So I'm going to go ahead and accept fee and process the payment. And now it's contacting and going back to our website and telling us that the filing is now ready for review. So you're done with submitting. You can click Return to e-filing home, and we're going to talk about the History tab. So the History tab shows real-time in date range format all of the statuses of your filings. So if you are pressed for a deadline and you need to know where your filing is at any given time, you can just hit View Filings, and it is a constant, or you can hit refresh, and it is a constant refresh of this. And these statuses are real time and will update when they move through the cycle. So right now I have 2 in awaiting acceptance. I have 1 that was accepted, and then I also have 1 that was rejected. So we do have this refile feature. If this document was rejected, we do allow you to refile. You will not keep your date and time. So if the document was rejected, when you refile it, you will be resubmitting it for that new date and time, except for all of the information is saved. So what it does, all it is a courtesy for you to be able to not have to re-upload the attachment or re-enter all of that data. The reason for rejection is going to indicate what you need to change. So the Prothonotary's office is going to be as descriptive as possible, and they'll indicate what exactly was incorrect with your filing and what needs to be changed. So when you click refile, all you'll have to do is maybe delete the attachment and re-upload a new one, or maybe the address was incorrect. For whatever reason that Prothonotary office is going to reject it for, you would make those changes and then resubmit it. Again, the date and time does not stay. We also have the Messages tab. The Messages tab, again, is a duplicate version of the email that was sent in your inbox. So maybe maybe you accidentally deleted it and you aren't able to retrieve it. You can always go back to your messages as long as you did not delete it within your messages. So you do have the ability to select these and delete your messages if it ends up getting, your Messages tab ends up getting filled. So it's by date range. You'll see here again whether your filing was received. So the email is going to indicate that this is an auto-generated response, but your filing has been received and is awaiting acceptance. So this is not an acceptance email. It's just that it was submitted. Your filing has been accepted, and then a link to view your document here. And then you can also open it in your e-filing profile here, and you'll be able to pull up that timestamp copy there as well.
There was a question that I don't know if that last email might answer. Is there an ability to print a receipt for the payment that was processed?
So you will get an emailed receipt from the third-party payment processor. So you're also going to see an emailed receipt from them. I unfortunately don't know what that looks like. I don't know, Jess, if in your testing, if you're able to see what that looks like. But yes, you will get a separate receipt from Govolution indicating those payments.
We had a couple more questions on payments.
Sure.
Not sure if you were going to move on or want me to wait or.
No, we can talk about it.
Okay. Is it possible to pay with a check directly to the clerk of courts? For Orphans Court, and I I think George is on. I do know that if you're e-filing, it has to be a card. Anything that's filed at the office, it's my understanding, firm checks will still be accepted. But if you're e-filing, it has to be a card. There's no electronic check option. And where would we add a card to save indefinitely from the homepage so we don't have to type it in every time? So the first time that you type it in, when Lisa was on that page and she typed it in, there was a box at the bottom that said save for future checkouts. You would click that, check that box before processing the payment. It is my understanding. Is that right, Lisa?
That is correct. That is saved on Govolution side. So because it is federally mandated certain restrictions on their website with regards to credit cards, they handle all saving of the credit cards. We have no payment information on our side.
Um, there was a question about the case number. It will look a little bit different. You're going to put the year first. If you can pull one up, Lisa. Yep. And anytime you go to that create filing tab, it'll have an indication of what you would need to put in here. AA for civil cases will be CV. And then the numbers,
5-digit case number.
yes, and you do need those leading zeros. So
Yes.
but it's 5 and not 6. I don't think that are the dashes necessary?
If you are to enter, you can enter it all as one and it'll populate. It
So
will then move to include a dash, but when typing it out, you do not have to include the dash.
okay. So that is a bit different from C-Track. If you don't get it exactly right in C-Track with all the dashes where they need to go, then you're going to run into a problem. But in this system, you can just type the numbers and the letters all together and you should get to your case. Answer that one. Will counsel in family law cases be able to view all filed documents in the family law matter? This is an issue with us under the current system. Yes, it's supposed to work that way in the current system. I understand that there are some known issues with that access. But as of right now, if you are an attorney to a case, you'll be able to view the documents associated with that case. We talked about the receipt that'll come from Govolution. Why don't we see the time-stamped copy right from the link that it is accepted?
So you do see that link. Let me go to this. So you'll see here that your filing was accepted. You can go click to open the accepted e-filing, go to e-filing. And you can view your accepted filing here, this little green hyperlink. And what it's going to do is open it up as a PDF, and then you'll see your timestamp along the side. That's that certification language that we talked about. I don't know if everybody can see this. It'll be the case number received at Monroe, the date, the time, the fee, and then the certification language.
Can you link today's filing to a previous filing? Example, if I am filing an answer to a motion, can I link it to the reference or a reference on the document, the motion that I'm answering?
So we do have a feature, it's called threading. Monroe County is not doing any of the threading, but the ability to do that we can do if that's something that the county would want to do. But right now, no, it will not be associated. You would just have to indicate what you would be responding to.
And on that, I will say right now, additional things like that may come in the future. Right now, we are focused on getting this system up and running so that you can file things, in a timely manner. And if there are additional rollouts or additional features that are added as time goes on and as everybody kind of settles into, the system as a whole, we will make announcements through the Bar Association that when, different upgrades or changes are coming. Can you file IFP or do you need a credit card?
So we do have the ability to electronically submit for IFP. If you are you indicating what I guess was that question for attorney IFP specific or petition for IFP?
James, is that a question for like a per se filer, or are you filing on behalf of someone that is IFP? Or both?
So in any event, here are both your selections. So your motion or petition to proceed in forma pauperis, it does have to be associated with the filing that has the fee. So when you file the document that has the fee, you'll go back, create another filing, and select the motion petition to proceed in forma pauperis. And just by that alone in your shopping cart with that other filing, it will know to remove the fee for that. And then based on whether or not it's been granted or denied, if it's been denied, then that fee will be an outstanding balance on the case. But if it was granted, it'll be granted to that party on the case. And so anytime moving forward, if they were to electronically file, there would be no fee as long as that party is associated. And then precipe to proceed in forma pauperis. So that's that, I believe that's the attorney in forma pauperis for pro bono cases, I believe. So if that is selected, you would just have to select the filing party and that it would have to be filed by an attorney.
Does that answer your question, James?
Were we ready to move over to the viewer? Was there any questions on e-filing or submitting any e-file documents?
I think I've hit all of the questions that I've seen come in
Okay.
thus far.
All right.
But if you have any questions and you're typing, we'll answer them.
Okay, so I'm going to now move over to the viewer. So I am logged into our development site. So there are a couple things and logged in as an internal user. So I know it says internal only. There are some features that we provide the county courthouse for statistics and reporting. So unfortunately, they are visible on here, but I am going to just talk about the basics that you are going to say. So this is the homepage of our viewer. So you'll see here the Office of the Prothonotary, case search and case party search, and then a link to e-filing. So these links here are going to be the three that you're going to use most often. When the Office of the Orphans Court is merged, you're then going to see a secondary item down here, and it's going to be this duplicative. It's going to be the Orphans Court section. So you always want to be mindful of which one you're searching in. The title here is the Office of the Prothonotary, and then if you're in Orphans Court, it would say the Office of Orphans Court. So you can search, this first search box is a Google-like search box. So anywhere that data is displayed on the docket, you could go ahead and search on that and it'll pull back thousands of records. You then could also use this as case number specific, or you can use your case number field here for case number specific. You can search by parcel number if you are looking for a specific lien on a property. You can search by case type. The case type is the initial filing. So if you wanted to do a search of all of the complaint divorces that were filed last week, you could select complaint divorce and give it a date reference and or a date range, and it'll pull back in a grid format of all of those filings. You can also search by subsequent filings. So any subsequent filings that Monroe County has available here, you can search by motions, petitions, any types of orders, give it a date range, and it'll pull that back. You can also search by case statuses in combination with these. So any cases that maybe are open, filed in a specific date range, assigned to a specific judge, and attorneys. So this is probably where you would fall in. So you would type in your attorney ID number and pull back any cases that you're listed as counsel. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this case. I did a test case the other day so that we can look at all of the different features. So this is your docket. In the top left-hand corner is your case number. If you see this in red, it means that there might be some changes. Maybe information displayed may be incomplete. Maybe the court is still reviewing some of these documents. Maybe the docket text will change. But this red indicates that this has recently been touched, so to speak. The top box here is your case level details. So your case number, when it was commenced, all of this information here, the judge that's assigned, your status, and your disposition also, and whether or not it's been sealed at a case level. We then have these small boxes, and each box is expandable. You can also make it smaller. You can print each of these boxes. So for instance, maybe you just want to print a copy of the docket entries alone. You can hit this little print. But here it's going to indicate your parties, so your plaintiffs, the address, who is listed of counsel, whether or not they should be notified, and then interpreters' statuses. Same goes for defendants. And then if you did have other parties, maybe interpreters or ad litem, guardian ad litems, you would then see them in the other party type section. If that information is blank, we just do not display that box. So here you'll see the docket entries, your initial complaint. If there is a book icon next to it, it means that there is an image associated with that docket entry. When you click on this book, it's going to open up this PDF viewer. And these green little icons over here on the left-hand side, this is where, when I discuss breaking it up as a main or a briefer memo or an exhibit, this is where you'll be able to utilize those tabs. So as an attorney, you're going to be able to view confidential documents because you are counsel of record. So you might see duplicative bookmarks. You see a 1 and a 1. What that means is we are exposing you the confidential cover sheet and also the confidential document associated with that cover sheet. So if you are if you're a pro se litigant or someone that is, I guess, considered the public, and they should have access to a document that also has confidential information in it, they're only going to expose this confidential cover sheet to them. This secondary one is not going to be visible. You know what? I want to show you within here. So this is a PDF tool, much like Adobe. So you can download, you can print all of these. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. I do want to also show you this drop down here at the top. So when you select this drop down, it's going to give you a quick jump to any of the other documents on your case. So you can quickly jump to all of the other filings that are listed here in the case without having to go back to the docket and then back into your PDF viewer. And then I'm going to hit back and it'll bring me back to the docket. So we do have a judgment section here. So anytime a judgment's entered, it's entered in the judgment index. You'll see it displayed. We like to keep them in sequence order. So its default sort starts with sequence 0 and goes down. You'll see the filing dates. You also see these little E's next to it. E means that it's been electronically filed. If there is nothing there, it means that it was filed over the counter. So a paper was hand delivered to the court. We have your docket types. So these are the selections that you're making when you're filing an initial and a subsequent. These are very important because these docket types, they drive a lot of business rules associated with certain filings. So for instance, if a petition for motion for, or a motion for summary judgment, say they all go to Judge Smith, and that your filing that came in is a motion for summary judgment, but you just selected the subsequent filing motion. That motion filing type may get redirected to a different queue. So you want to make sure that when you are submitting a certain filing, you want to make sure that you're selecting the appropriate subsequent filing type. And like I showed you before, if you're in the subsequents, you can do a type ahead. So if you're trying to look for a specific filing type, you can just type in that box and you'll be able to search against all the different filing types that the courthouse provides. The next column is the docket text. So this is descriptive information that is associated with this answer in new matter or this affidavit of service. So this is where I think there was a question, if you're answering a motion, can you relate the two? This is the docket text. This is where the Prothonotary office will enter that pertinent information that could relate those documents. The last column is sealed. We also allow the ability to seal at a docket level. So if a document was court ordered sealed, and you'll see that this column here will say yes. If the case is sealed as a whole, you'll see yes displayed at the top, and then all of these docket entries would be yes. So that entire case then would be sealed. So I'm going to move on to orders. Jess, unless we had any other questions with regards to the viewer and documents.
There was one that just came in. Will C-check information be combined with this website? So in terms of the dockets, docket entries, documents, so the court's records, yes. However, your e-filing profiles will not be merged. You'll have to sign up for CourtPro. I hope that answers your question. If not, you can clarify it in the chat. And I did just want to let everyone know I put links for the OC viewer and e-filing. If you click on the viewer link, it may reroute you to e-filing, just because the viewers, I don't believe, open to the public at this point, and is part of that known issue that we discussed at the beginning of this. And that's all that's in the chat right now.
Okay. So I want to talk about orders. So when the court issues an order and it becomes of record, the docket type is selected, and you'll see here that this one is a case management order, fast track. So what happens is this document gets submitted, it gets accepted and docketed. You'll receive an email notification that there is a document that's been submitted on a case that you're associated with. That is your subsequent notification. Then this document goes through what's called an Order 236Q, which we designed for the court. So when you first receive that notice and you select that order, that's not technically served pursuant to Rule 236 until it goes through this process. So we'll get the document, it will load in the queue, and the court will then process the 236, indicating that it was served. So what that process does is it stamps the bottom of this order. So this order of judgment was docketed and sent on this date pursuant to PA Rule 236. It will endorse the bottom of that order, and then it'll send out an email notification with the 236 language. That is where you'll have a link to the case, and you'll be able to click on it and then view that timestamped and endorsed order that was served to you. So if you do see an order that is on your case that does not have this in the docket text, it means that it was not processed through that Order 236 process, and it has not been officially served to you yet. So I know a lot of times people were calling and saying that they saw this order and they never got the actual notice. It's because it has not gone through that process yet. So again, when we go live, there are going to be some new processes in the courts. So we would have to circle back with Michelle and the team and decide how quickly they're going to be reviewing these 236 notices and pushing them through to get them officially sent out via email. If you are registered as an e-filer, you will receive an email notification, but if you are not registered as an e-filer, that document will then come in the mail. That will spit out a paper and an envelope, and they'll put it in and send it regular mail.
We had a couple of questions come in for deadline purposes. What is considered the filing date, the date submitted, or the date accepted? Pursuant to state law, it's the date that you submit it. That's assuming it isn't rejected and you have to resubmit.
Yes.
And how can we review all the material that has been mentioned today? Is there a reference source for problems? So Lori sent out a manual essentially for e-filing from paperless. That was part of the documents that Lori from the Bar Association sent out this morning. And this session is being recorded, and Lori will also make that available to bar members. Lisa, is there any additional areas that they can access help on the website?
Nope, that is it. We did provide over the documentation, and so at Go Live, they'll be able to access that on the site.
And that documentation that was provided today will also be available on the Prot and the court's website.
Yes.
Sorry, another question just came in. Is there a
Okay.
fee to pull documents from the docket? In other counties, you get one free and then have to pay. Right now, there is not. That may be something that's adopted in the future. I don't know what the plans are as I sit here. But again, if we make any changes to that, there will be notice that goes out well in advance of any change. So right now it's status quo, which is you can access the documents as many times as you want without a cost.
So I touched on all of the topics that I wanted to go over today with everybody. I don't know if anybody would like to see some more subsequent filings, if we would like to go dig a little deeper about on the viewer. Um, I'm here and able to help.
And thank you so much, Lisa. I will continue to monitor the chat for a bit if anybody has some questions. Or if you want to unmute yourself and talk with us, you're welcome to do that as well. I do know it's 1:07 and almost everyone is used to these being just an hour. So if you have to go, I understand. But if you want to stick around and ask questions, you're welcome to do that as well.
And
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
we can leave this open as long as you need it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to scroll back through the chat and just make sure I got everything.